Today, we're diving into something pretty serious. How AI is completely shaking up the way we train people for jobs where one wrong move, well, it could be catastrophic. Think about it. Aviation, nuclear power, advanced manufacturing, these are places where there's just no room for error. So let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a number. $65 billion. That's how much the Deepwater Horizon disaster cost in fines and cleanup alone. It's just a brutal, staggering reminder of what happens when training fails. You know, when the stakes are this high, good enough just doesn't cut it. Not even close.
And really, that gets to the heart of it, right? For folks like pilots or people running a nuclear reactor, training isn't just about compliance. It's not about checking a box. It is literally about survival. This is the last line of defense against absolute disaster. It's all about building that deep-seated muscle memory, that instinct for what to do when everything goes wrong.
All right, so let's talk about the limits of how we used to do things. The old way, the traditional one-size-fits-all training, it's fine for teaching the basics, the standard stuff. But where does it fall apart? It falls apart when you're trying to prepare someone for those crazy, out-of-the-blue black swan events. And honestly, those are the moments that matter most.
And this is where things get really interesting. We're in the middle of a massive shift. AI isn't just some tool we pull out of a toolbox anymore. No way. It's becoming a true partner, a co-creator, right there alongside the instructional designers. And listen, this isn't about cranking out training modules faster. It's about making the training itself smarter, deeper, and way more effective.
So what do we even mean by a design partnership? Well, think of it this way. AI isn't just doing the boring, repetitive stuff anymore. It's actually augmenting what humans are best at, the strategy, the creativity. It's like having a brilliant brainstorming partner who can also help you personalize training for thousands of people at once. It's a total game changer.
Okay, let's break this down. The old way of thinking, that was AI as a tool, a workhorse, good for automating simple tasks like generating some basic text or transcribing audio. But the new way, AI as a partner. It's a strategic collaborator. It's really the difference between using a simple calculator and having a world-class data scientist sitting right next to you. It's not about replacing humans, it's about amplifying what we can do.
So, what does this actually look like in practice? How does this AI partnership change the game? Let's walk through the entire training lifecycle, from the very beginning all the way to the end, and see how AI is getting plugged in.
Okay, for anyone in the training world, the ADDIE model is classic. Analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. But look what happens when you infuse it with AI. In the analysis stage, AI can dig through tons of data and actually predict where human error is most likely to pop up. Crazy, right? Then in design, it acts like a creative partner helping draft scenarios. In development, boom, it can spin up images, videos, voiceovers in minutes. Then it helps implement the training by personalizing it for every single learner in real time. And finally, for evaluation, it gives you these incredibly deep insights into performance. The whole process just becomes faster, smarter, and way more agile.
And this is the toolkit that's making all of this possible. We're talking about instructional designers basically becoming conductors of an AI orchestra. You've got Midjourney and DALL-E for stunning images, Synthesia or Heijin for creating video avatars from scratch, and tools like 11 Labs for voiceovers that are almost impossible to tell from a human. It means you can create this rich, engaging learning content at a speed that honestly would have seemed like science fiction just a couple of years back.
And just think back to the old days for a second. What was training? Usually a huge binder dropped on your desk, right? Or maybe a PowerPoint deck with 100 slides. The problem was, everyone got the exact same thing. It didn't matter if you were a 20-year veteran or fresh out of school. It was totally static. It couldn't adapt to you, and it definitely couldn't simulate the heart-pounding pressure of a real crisis.
But now, the new reality is a world away from that. We're talking about immersive, adaptive training powered by AI. Think about a surgeon practicing a super delicate procedure in a virtual reality environment, or a pilot dealing with a complex engine failure over and over and over again. They can do it all in these incredibly realistic simulations where mistakes are safe. They're just learning opportunities, not life or death events.
And we've got the data to prove this works. In the airline industry, for example, studies are showing that these AI-powered simulators can get pilots to proficiency up to 30% faster. And you might ask, why? Well, it's because the AI is smart. It can spot exactly where a pilot is struggling, and then just keep serving up customized scenarios to work on that specific weakness until it's mastered. It makes every single minute of training count.
But okay, let's get real for a second. This isn't some magic wand we can just wave.
As powerful as this technology is, bringing AI into these high-stakes environments comes with some pretty serious risks and challenges, and we absolutely have to talk about them.
And this really leads to the million-dollar question, especially for regulators. How do you trust and regulate a black box? When an AI's decision-making process is so complex that even its creators can't fully explain it, how do you sign off on its safety, especially when people's lives are at stake? You can't have trust without transparency, and that's a massive hurdle to clear.
And look, this isn't just some hypothetical problem for the future. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission is already wrestling with this. They've found big gaps in their own rules. A lot of their regulations are written with the assumption that a human is pulling the levers. Their old models for validating software, they just don't work for these new adaptive AI systems. The whole game is changing, and the rulebook needs to change with it.
And it goes beyond just the regulations. There are other huge risks we need to manage. What about algorithmic bias? If the AI is trained on flawed data, it's just going to repeat those flaws. Then there's something called cognitive offloading. Basically, we could get lazy and let the AI do all the thinking, which might dull our own skills. And then you have the big ones: data privacy, security, and the huge question of accountability. When an AI system gets something wrong in a critical situation, who's on the hook? Who's responsible?
So here's the bottom line, and this is really important. The future here isn't about AI replacing human experts, not at all. It's about creating this incredible new synergy where AI amplifies human judgment. It takes the routine work off our plates so that we can focus on what we do best: complex problem solving, strategic thinking, all the stuff that machines, at least for now, just can't do.
And don't think for a second that this is some far-off future. It's happening right now. A recent study found that a whopping 80%, 80, of instructional designers are already using AI tools in their work. So this isn't some trend that's coming. It's the new reality for how this work gets done. So what does that mean for the people who do this for a living? Well, their jobs are evolving fast. Since AI can handle a lot of the basic content creation, the most valuable human skills are changing. The focus is shifting away from just producing content and towards becoming strategic problem solvers, learning scientists, and, importantly, critical thinkers who can evaluate what the AI spits out. It's all about strategy, empathy, and a deep understanding of how people actually learn.
And that brings us to one final and really critical thought. This whole AI revolution, it's all built on a mountain of data. And most of that data was created by us, by people. This quote from the researcher Dana Boyd really hits it home. "I post my work freely online to ensure that those without resources can read it. But that doesn't mean I want my work taken without permission to train systems for others' profit. That's called exploitation." It's a powerful reminder that as we rush to build this incredible future, we've got to ask ourselves some really tough questions about how we're building it and what it means to do it responsibly.